Is hope of a second stimulus check now in jeopardy, or is this just political posturing? Hey everybody, this is LALATE with a second stimulus check update and second stimulus package update for today. This one about SSDI, SSI, Social Security, Railroad benefits, and Veterans benefits, and the second stimulus check. Later today we'll be answering all 237 of your questions from yesterday's video, but this one's about the check, the amount, the time in which it will come, and the shocking news coming out minutes ago. Boy, let me back up, because what's going on currently, as you know, is a sort of hunt by news reporters to get updates about the second stimulus check, print and broadcast news reporters from members of the White House. Why? Currently, congressional leaders are on vacation because they don't take enough vacations, and there's no one around to answer news reporters' questions about a second stimulus check. So the information I have today is really only coming from one source, Steve Mnuchin. That essentially is what's going to happen ostensibly over the next couple of weeks. That you'll be hearing a lot of comments, but they'll only be coming from one space, the White House. New comments today suggest that a second stimulus check could be in jeopardy. But I want to preface that, again, that is only the White House talking about it. What's going on here? Let me back up. Just days ago, when Congress was in town and was in D.C., you had three possible outcomes of a second stimulus check. You had the Democrats at a $1,200 single check. You had Mitch McConnell saying, much of nothing. And then you had the White House saying that they wanted to give a lot more than a $1,200 check, but not saying how much more. And on the periphery, you still had that six $2,000 checks, otherwise said as one $2,000 check every 6 months until the pandemic improves or unemployment rates go down. That's when everyone was in town. If it's ironic or if it's intentional, now that everyone is on vacation except you and I, Steve Mnuchin of the White House is starting to run a lot of quotes, and the quotes aren't good. As you know, this channel doesn't mince its words, and I'm not happy with the words I'm hearing today. Steve Mnuchin yesterday said that he does not like everyone getting a second stimulus check. Today, he said he doesn't like everyone getting unemployment benefits. What's going on here, Steve Mnuchin? Today, minutes ago, Steve Mnuchin said that when asked about FPUC, that's $600 from the federal government that is expiring in late July, that goes on top of your UI, your unemployment benefits, and your PUC and your FPUA benefits, he doesn't want to continue it. He doesn't want to give people unemployment benefits from the federal government going forward. Yesterday, he said he doesn't want to give everyone a second stimulus check. It is a collective discourse in just 48 hours while everyone just suddenly left town that Steve Mnuchin is starting to say, no, we just don't want people to get things. So what is going on here, and should you be worried or not worried? Net result is I think you should not be worried. Why? Ultimately, all three forces, Mnuchin, the White House, Mitch McConnell and the Republicans, and the Democrats on the other side, all want people to get a second stimulus check. That's the first thing. Second, the vast majority of viewers of this channel who are watching right now, who are on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, Railroad benefits, and Veteran benefits, are all in the proposals of all three groups to get a second stimulus check. So that's really good. Despite any one of those three groups trying to say we're not going to do a second stimulus check, the ones they don't want to give a second stimulus check are certain groups that are making a lot of money. Third, the time of delivery is not changed. No one has since said that the second stimulus check would be ratified at a date later than August 7th. This channel was the first to report it. We reported August 8th 3 weeks ago, some people were dropping in the comments, a lot of haters saying, how do you know August 8th? How do you know August 8th? Hater, hater, hater. I had just clearly deleted those comments. Now every broadcast channel from CNBC to CNN to Fox, everyone is now saying August 8th. So there we go. That is the great news. So what is Steve Mnuchin doing to us? Making us nervous or trying to rope it in? It's really unclear, but here is what's happening. The National Bureau of Economic Research, which of course is a federal agency, it's something you and I may never have heard of until this broadcast today, released a report yesterday. And the report again is basically something that Steve Mnuchin grabbed onto, and to say, hey, I like this report, I'm going to use this report as a reason not to give people money. Boy, the report said that current benefits under the CARES Act, the first stimulus check package, are not good because it claims that the lowest fifth of earners are receiving 200% of their salary on unemployment benefits under the first stimulus package. Said a different way, it's saying that 68% of those unemployed who are now getting benefits under a first stimulus package are getting more than they would normally get were they employed as they were employed back in February. And of course, Steve Mnuchin saw that and sort of salivated and said, oh, that's exactly a reason to stop giving people money. Basically, to summarize what the report is saying, it's saying that when the first stimulus package was approved and gave people money in different stimulus packages, those people got more money that under the stimulus package than they were getting before the pandemic. And so Steve Mnuchin says, we're not going to allow that. We're not going to allow people to get more money under a pandemic than they were getting before the pandemic. Well, first of all, there's a problem with all this. And the first problem is the National Bureau of Economic Research doesn't explain how they get their numbers. Second of all, it leaves people guessing where Steve Mnuchin is going with this. How does this impact a second stimulus check? It's part of this collective discourse that has happened literally in 24 hours, in which the White House is basically saying, okay, we're going to give you a lot more money under a second stimulus check. We're not going to tell you how much, but now we're not going to give all of you viewers money. I think there's a problem, and I'm going to tell you where the problem is. The problem is the political inroad fighting that could ensue. Where is my worry? My worry for you is that ultimately a second stimulus package will likely get approved on August 8th, but there's reasons for each political party not to approve a second stimulus package to hurt the other political party. And ultimately what will happen is it will hurt the viewers of this channel. First, one could argue that if no stimulus package is approved on August 8th, if the Democrats put their feet in the ground and say, no, we want everyone to get a $1,200 stimulus check. If you don't agree to that, we're not signing on to any second stimulus package. If the Democrats say that, which they may, the Republicans may be left with no stimulus package, and the Democrats, and ultimately the Republicans could be hurt more in the fall elections. Second, the Republicans could say, hey, we're only going to give a second stimulus check to certain groups, as Mitch McConnell suggested earlier this week. We're only going to give it to people who made $40,000 last year individually. And if you made more than that, we're not giving it to you. How Mitch McConnell's going to figure that number, I don't know. And Democrats may say, we're not agreeing to that either. Ultimately, Republicans can use that against Democrats, say, hey, Democrats weren't here to help you. We offered to give a lot of people who needed checks money, and Democrats didn't help you. What could turn this into is a very bad pitting of one another, and ultimately the viewers of this channel are hurt. Where is this going? What's going on is that there's two universal things happening about the second stimulus check in the last 48 hours. First, Republicans are trying to consistently say that the economy is doing great. Republicans are and especially the White House. The White House is trying to say the economy is doing great, that everyone is employed, that everyone has a job, that everyone's back at work, that everyone's making a lot of money. It's simply not true. Democrats are trying to portray everyone as needing assistance into late next year. That might be overreaching as well. Republicans, on the other hand, are saying, hey, we're not going to help you. We don't think the economic data is sufficient enough to show that you need help. Whereas the Democrats on the other side are saying, hey, look at the economic data. It supports a second stimulus check. The economic data, which I detailed yesterday supporting a second stimulus check, was just horrible. It showed that unemployment, new claims for unemployment, these are new people going on unemployment, exceeded 1 million new applicants over just the last week for I think it was the 16th consecutive week, the worst run since the Great Recession. Unemployment claims are absolutely going through the roof. They are absolutely going through the roof. Viewers of this channel need a second stimulus check. They need a second stimulus check. $1,200 is not going to cut it. The Democrats really did not take care of the American people in proposing a $1,200 second stimulus check. Mitch McConnell didn't do much of anything in proposing that a second stimulus check would be limited to $40,000. Now, I got to clarify this, and I got to clarify it very clearly. A lot of people have asked me in the comments, what is this $40,000 thing from Mitch McConnell? It is, one, not a bill. Two, it's not written anywhere. Three, it's not even in an email. Four, it's not even on a napkin. It is literally Mitch McConnell talking about it. But how important or significant is Mitch McConnell saying he's only going to get a second stimulus check if you made $40,000 or less last year? How significant is it, and how should you be worried about it? Earlier this week, I said you shouldn't be worried about it because it's Mitch McConnell running his mouth, which he does on a regular basis. But as of yesterday, I changed face because the White House came out and said, hey, we support not giving everyone a second stimulus check. And that only giving it to the hardest hit people, a second stimulus check. Steve Mnuchin said he would not say what amount, he would not say who he's referring to, he would not endorse the $40,000 Mitch McConnell plan. But again, he's saying White House does not support giving second stimulus checks to everyone. So what is going on here? Ultimately, my job is not to read tea leaves to you. My job is to report news. My job is to ensure that you get a second stimulus check if you qualify for it. My job is to educate you, inform you how you get a second stimulus check if you are eligible for it. Ultimately, what I need to inform you, and this is so important, please understand that what is going on now as we sit here in early July over the next approximately 2 weeks, you're going to have literally no one to talk to you about a second stimulus check from whether it's a Republican or a Democrat except the White House. Virtually no one is in town. So no one is here to discuss with you what they think is going to happen when members of Congress go back into session late July, except the White House. So the White House, in a way, has the ability to move the conversation, but viewers of this channel should not believe that's the only possible outcome. So where are we? Multiple proposals, $1,200 check, one check, multiple $2,000 checks, 6 $2,000 checks, until the pandemic improves or until unemployment improves, at least 6 of them. A single check that's more than $1,200. The likelihood that the proposal will be passed in late July, but probably on or around August 8th. The likelihood that it will be paid to you in late August, early September. Then we have the issue about who gets it and who doesn't get it. And boy, I did that to a pulp earlier this week, and I'm sure it's going to come up. Thank you for all the new viewers, about 10,000 new viewers per day, every 48 hours. Ultimately, there is a lot that is on the table as to who would get a second stimulus check. And it is so much more than what happened with the first check. I have a lot of viewers who say, I didn't get a first check, I'll probably not get a second check. Absolutely not true. Absolutely not true. I have a lot of viewers who said, I got a first check, I'll probably get a second check. Also possibly not true. The reason why is the eligibility standards are being moved. They're not being moved whether or not you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, Railroad benefits, or Veterans benefits. That's not what's moving it. It's moving it based upon how you're filing your taxes. I've always said it, and I say it on a daily basis. The second stimulus check is paid to you by the IRS. It comes from the IRS. It gets routed to you from the IRS. If the IRS doesn't know where you are, if the IRS doesn't know where your child is, the IRS doesn't know the location, if the IRS doesn't know how much money you made, if the IRS just doesn't know what it needs to know to pay you a second stimulus check, you know what's going to happen. You're going to be sitting here and worried, like I will be for you, that you're clearly eligible for a second stimulus check, and yet you didn't get it. So ultimately, what's important to remember is stay with me. There is nothing today that changes eligibility issues. $40,000 is not a law. It's not even a proposal. There is no new bills that have been introduced today. But we're starting to see collective disagreement being filtered out from the White House to suggest who should get a second stimulus check and who should not. And data like the National Bureau of Economic Research, which I'm really going to go into on our third second stimulus check video today about unemployment benefits, is really not a good document to have floating around. Why? Because it basically says, sorry, we think a lot of people on benefits now are making a lot more money than they made when they were employed. And for some reason, which I will never know, and this channel is never political, Republicans are latching on to a claim that the economy is doing well, that people don't want to work, that people want a welfare state, which is simply not true. And I appreciate your comments. A lot of you said that's generally not true. In fact, there's a new economic report out overnight that said that the economy does better when people have less financial worries. So with that, if you have questions for today's video, drop them in the comments below. Coming up later today, we go over your questions about SSI, SSDI, Social Security Railroad benefits and veterans benefits, and the second stimulus check. As always, stay with LA for more.